Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of High Frequency Talks with Jenna and Lili.
I'm Jenna.
And I'm Lili. We have a very special guest today, our friend Sam. Hey, Sam, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we are just going to wing it today. We're just having a good old conversation today. We were talking about Sam earlier, or to Sam earlier, about following your heart and following your intuition. So we kind of wanted Sam to share a little bit about his story on how he followed his heart and how he is where he is today. So can you give us a little bit of background for those out there that don't know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, for sure. So that's something I've, especially in the last couple of years, I've been able to really stop the whole trying to figure things out intellectually, and just follow my intuition and my heart. And it's gotten me to a lot of places and opened a lot of new doors and a lot of new opportunities that I never would have been introduced to if I didn't follow my heart. So I'll backtrack and kind of give you guys a little bit of a background on myself and just my journey. So I was born in Jordan. If y'all don't know where that is, that's across the ocean. And I came to the United States at a year and a half, and my family is very much conservative, very old school, and they came here with $1,000 in their pocket, which to me is absolutely mind blowing to move to another part of the world with only $1,000 in your pocket, not knowing what you were gonna do and how you're gonna make it happen. But they made it happen. Started off really low class, and worked their way up. My dad was, I remember he was working at Domino's Pizza. My mom was a teacher. And yeah, I mean, it was, they went to school, they started to get their degrees and stuff, and started to work their way up into, the middle class, middle class, upper middle class, and so on and so forth. And now they're doing pretty well, but I grew up with a mindset of, really just having to go to, like most people would go to school, get good grades, get the degree, get a job.
The timeline that we've been told that we have to follow.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most people, they think this is like the only way that you can really create a life for yourself. So
Yeah.
I was definitely like in that mindset for a few years, but I deep down knew, I guess my inner child knew that I was meant for something different. It was always just something that I intuitively knew. So fast forward, never was good at school. I was always the kid that was sleeping in the back of the class drooling. That was me. Like, I literally never paid attention to this. I mean, I literally was always awake till like 5 or 6 a.m. every night, and I would go to school. I'd be so tired. I didn't even have the energy to pay attention to my teachers, which was kind of good because I didn't get the normal programming that most people usually get, because I was asleep. I couldn't get programming. So the last 6 years I've dove into personal development and being my own boss. And for the last 5 years, I've worked for myself, haven't had a job, and I haven't looked back. And it was really just a decision to follow my heart, to follow my passions, to follow what I felt was right for me. Because I feel like most people get told, what is right for them. And they're like, oh, well, I should probably do this because everyone's telling me I need to do this. And then they end up 30, 40 years into this journey, and they're like, fuck, I'm not happy. And I didn't want that, because I'd be at my job and I'd be dreading life. I'd be dreading it. And I mean, it's crazy. You follow your heart, you follow the things that really set your soul on fire, your highest excitement, and like things end up working out even better than you think they will. It may be a struggle to get used to it, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of people are scared. It's a lot easier to be handed that piece of paper that says, here's what you should do, and rather than just go out and do whatever you're wanting to do.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I just don't. I wouldn't base my life and freedom and everything on that. Like
Yeah.
I'm not gonna place my bets on that. Like I'd rather place my bets on myself. You know, and like yeah, I mean, like we were talking. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday. She wants to be a life coach, and with a certain company that I'm currently working with, and you need like certain certifications. You know, and you know people it's like a credit. You know, like people find you accredited if you have these certifications, and there are certain times in school that you need these certifications. Like I'm like if I'm gonna get surgery, right? Like I'm
You
not.
want your doctor to be certified.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna let you cut me open and you're like, yeah, well I practice on my, you know, some, you know, in my basement on like animals or something. Like, you know.
Shit just got really weird.
Yeah. So, so yeah, I think there's a time and place for everything, but like, yeah, at the end of the day, like, I think we all have unique capabilities. We all have like, we're here, we have a purpose, and it's just like, I feel like whenever you follow your heart, you can find your purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Jenna, have you ever followed your heart or given us an example of following your heart?
Yes, definitely. I've always felt like going against the grain. Like I never believed that we're meant to do like what society tells us what to do. I just always thought that was kind of BS. And so I've left jobs, like I've had multiple jobs and I just leave. If I'm not happy, then I just find a new job that I'm happy with because I feel like life is way too short like to just be doing something you're unhappy with. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. Why would you continue doing like I see people all the time in the workplace just stay. They're like, "Oh, I have to stay and do this." But there's so many things like if you do like yeah, like it's maybe not the smartest thing to just like quit if you have bills to pay and all of that, but you can find a job that makes you happier like while you're in the job that you don't like and then you can move on, you know? So I think definitely taking the risk and following your heart is the way to go. Did you face any challenges like when you first started, like when you were switching from like working a normal job to being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think a lot more than most people. Just cause like I didn't play it safe. Um,
Didn't play
I
it safe.
no, I didn't play it safe at all.
So what do you mean by that? How did you not play it safe?
So basically, I mean, there's a few instances, but the one that I would say like was like the one where I learned the most. It was like it's crazy because like a lot of my memories kind of like it's almost like jumbled together because like you know it's like it feels so far away. Like I feel like I've become like such a transformed version of myself, but it was like I'd say like 4.5 5 years ago, and I was working at a job, and it was at Jared's. You know, like he went to Jared's. You know, like
Oh, like the jewelry company?
yeah, the jewelry company.
Oh my god. I had to think about that one for a second.
Yeah, so I was working at Jared's, right, and I was selling watches, right. So I was selling watches. I was a timepiece manager, and I was building my side business at the time. So like I had my job, I had a business I was building on the side, you know, after my 9 to 5, like so, and I was also going to school, going to college. I think it was like my second year in college, and I got introduced to. One of my buddies is like, hey bro, like what are you doing? He like randomly called me, like we didn't talk that much, and he hit me up, and I remember vividly, I was at a car wash, and he goes, meet me up at Starbucks, and I was like, okay. So I met him at Starbucks, and he introduced me to his friend, and basically he just like kind of shared how he was able to like really live this lifestyle. He was traveling all over the world. Um, he had like 3 supercars. He was only 22 years old. He's making like multiple six figures a year, and he was like showing me how he could help me. He could show me to do the same thing, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna quit my job. So literally,
Like within that conversation, you said that to him, or
Like that day.
yeah, that day.
yeah, I quit my job literally that day.
What?
No, like right away.
Okay. Continue.
So I remember calling my manager, Mike. I'm like, hey, Mike, yeah, I'm not coming in anymore. He's like, wait, what? I was like, yeah, I'm going to focus on my business, and basically never went back to work. And then I decided I wasn't going to go to school anymore, so I quit going to school.
Okay, so hold up real quick. So when you decide to quit your job and you decide to quit school, do you tell your parents or not? Because I've been in a position where I quit my job and I didn't have anything lined up, and I didn't tell any of my family because I was scared to tell them. So what did you tell your family?
Yeah, and my parents are Arab, so.
That's like the worst thing to do is tell a brown person like, hey, I'm not gonna go to school, by the way. Like.
Yeah, 100%. Like they're like that's like telling. Never mind. I don't even want to say that. Never mind. But basically, like, yeah, I told my parents I quit my job. I'm not going to school anymore, and they're like, yeah, well, you can't live here.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So basically, at the time, I was driving a 1998 Lexus GS300, 225,000 miles on it. It was two-toned. It was silver and rust. And it had no AC. And I live in Texas. I live in Dallas, Texas. So I remember specifically I had like 2 big-ass suitcases, or like 2 luggages, and I filled up all my clothes, all my stuff, and put it in my car. And what I would do every single day is I would literally like sleep in my car in the parking lot of the gym that I went to. And I had no AC. It was 110 degrees, right? So like I would go to sleep there, and I'd wake up to the sun beaming at me, and I'm sweating like crazy. And
so basically you were detoxing for free.
Basically, yeah. I was detoxing for free. Yeah, I was feeling great.
I'm trying to find the positive in this, okay?
There's definitely a lot of positive.
I'm sure
getting to it.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to share this because I'm sure that there's someone that's probably going through the same thing. So yeah, so I would wake up every morning to the sun beaming at me, and I would like be sweating. So I just started a business. So I would go into the Lifetime parking lot, or not parking, inside the gyms, inside the gym, and I would shower in there, get ready. And then there was a Starbucks like literally like 30 seconds away, and I would go to this Starbucks, and I would just be on my laptop for a few hours just studying different people, different successful people, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Will Smith. Will Smith's a huge inspiration for me. And then just like kind of just study them, and then like once my team got up, I would basically start to work with them for 12 to 14 hours every single day for like months at a time. And yeah, I mean, just kept doing all the I was the one that was doing presentations. I'm homeless, and like I'm doing the presentations for everyone, and it's like they had no clue. Like I'm doing this every single day, and my team doesn't know. I didn't tell anyone. My pride, I guess I was like super prideful to ask for help, and I did that for 4 months. And like I did at a few points, like I asked friends, like, hey, can I stay at your house, whatever, I don't have a place to stay. And I would be there for like maybe 2 days, 3 days, sleeping on the couch or floor, but then I'd leave, because like I didn't want to be a burden. So I did that for 4 months straight, whether it was sleeping in the parking lot, friend's house, whatever, while doing these meetings every day.
Did you ever once like regret like dropping out of school and quitting your job, or did you know like you had full faith that this was all gonna work out?
Oh, I knew from the get-go. Like I already saw it. It was already done. Like there was not even a single, like, I mean, and whenever you're backed against the wall, like, you have no choice. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, am I gonna settle? Like, am I gonna be a hobo for the rest of my life? Like, well, I guess this is how it is.
It's like you sink or swim, right? You sink or swim. You gotta swim. You gotta fucking get out.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, my back was against the wall. I had no choice. I had to make it work. Like, you know, and so I did that for 4 months. And after 4 months, I had, like, my biggest breakthrough. And this was in network marketing. So, like, the way that it was set up, like, I you know, slowly started to progress. But I had my first big breakthrough after 4 months. And I cleared my first 5-figure month. I made, like, $12,800 my 4th month.
Oh shit. Okay, so what does Sam do when he finds out he just made that much money? What was your first move? Did you go and get a good meal, or I feel like that's what I would do.
I mean, the thing is like month 2 and 3, like I still made some money, but it wasn't enough to like sustain like a lifestyle. Like go, you know, it started to get better. But month 4 is when I had like a huge breakthrough, just because like my teams were exploding and things were just like momentum is picking up, and I had my. So my first thing I did is I went and got a fucking apartment.
Hell yeah!
I moved into luxury apartments. The company was actually paying for my car. They bought me a 2015 Mercedes, and I remember taking out like a bunch of my team out to dinner. So that was like huge, and then we continued to build, and I built that company for a full year and a half. And after a year and a half, we had 6 people that were clearing over 6 figures a year. We had over 12 people that are clearing over 50K a year, and like probably like 20 plus cars that were being paid for by the company. But I really like, the thing is at that time, like, not only was I homeless, I lost the love of my life. This girl I thought I was gonna marry, she's my twin flame, and yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, when it rains, it pours. But I also realized that I'm in control of my life, and you know, those things had to happen for me to be where I am today. And it was like one of the biggest learning lessons of my life. One of the things that I learned was servant leadership. Always being a servant, finding out how you can serve people, because it always comes back.
Yeah.
You know, and even now, you know, people that I supported back then, like, you know, they remember that, and, you know, we have such great connection now. Our relationship's really established. They understand that what I do, I truly just do it just because, like, I care, and they know that my intentions are pure, and it's just like, you know, it definitely has 10x my life since then. So, yeah, I attribute a lot of my current lifestyle to like those quote unquote dark times, which really, I feel like you gotta go through the dark to find the light.
Yeah, absolutely. And you definitely went through the dark, because that's incredible. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, honestly, I can definitely vouch for all of your light. I mean, I didn't see you go through those times, but like, you've always been like one of the most positive people I've known since I've known you. And you always are like so giving, and you can just tell. I feel like when you go through those hard times, though, it shows you like you can't, if you don't feel like that depth of darkness, then you can't feel that depth of light, you know?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, because like you also understand that other people are going through stuff, you know, and when you have that empathy for other people, I feel like you're less likely to judge the situation, because you know that, you know, everyone's going through something, whether they show it or not. Like, no, I mean, I was going through all that stuff, but no one knew at all. Like, even my best friends didn't know for a while. So, yeah, I mean, I think it just gives you a lot of perspective.
Yeah, and it's perspective that, like you said, everyone has their own story. Everyone's going through something, and kind of put in a way that judgment of just seeing what you see doesn't mean that you know it all. I have come across a few people this week, actually, which is interesting that we're talking about this now, where at the beginning, you know, you kind of put in that image of who they are because that's what you see. And once you start hearing a little bit more about their childhood or their family life, you're like, wow, I totally had it completely wrong. I just started judging this person based off of what I knew from what I saw. So everyone has a story, and just I think just being kind to other people, because you really don't know what they're going through. Even like us, like we're sitting here, like we don't know exactly to the detail, to the T, what we're going through, because you only share what you want to share.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was, I forgot where I read this quote. It said ignorance is like or speaking on something you know is like the lowest form of uh, intelligence, and like the highest form is empathy.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know, like no matter what you see, and still like understanding and having compassion for someone, like even though, you know, they could like, you know, they could be even treating you wrong or badly, but like still knowing that that's just your experience of them. That's they're probably going through something, and that's why they're acting that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one of the biggest, my mom gives me advice all the time, but one of the biggest things that always sticks with me is like what you said. Sam, said you invest in people, and like it's always going to come back. With my mom, she always says, like, you always have to plant the seed, because it's always going to come back. Even if they're doing you dirty, like, just still send them love, and still, empathy, like, still do something for them, because they might need it the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think it always comes back in another way. Like, might not come back from them, but it's going to come back from someone else. Like, always being kind to other people. I've noticed, like, this week I've had so many different occurrences of abundance in different ways. And it's like, it comes back. Like, I always am trying to give to people and donate to things. Like, even when changing, like, your financial mindset is something that's so hard. Because, like, in society, they condition us that we need to, like, save our money, and what you do need to save your money, but just, like, not spend it, not have fun. Like, you need to work hard, and you can't, like, enjoy life, And even, like, when I'm struggling the most, that's when I'm like, okay, I need to do something to donate, like, and so, like, a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna be able, it's gonna be hard for me to make rent, because I wasn't making as much money as I thought I was gonna make. And so during that moment, that someone posted something on Instagram about she's doing like a fundraiser for all of the dogs and cats in Bali, like getting them spayed and neutered.
Yeah.
And I saw it, and I was like, okay, I need to donate to that, because I don't know, just pick something. Like, animals always, I have such a heart for animals, so I always tend to donate to things like that. But I think just doing like an act of kindness, like even if you can't donate money to someone, like just like going and like giving a homeless person like some food, or giving someone a card, or giving someone a hug, or giving them a compliment, like all of that is going to come back in some way or another.
Yeah, and it's crazy because like it's come back for you like so much, even in the last like couple of like the last day or so. It's insane. Like you just give, and I think it's like, like the whole like tithing thing. I think that's what's really important is like, giving even whenever you're not in the right position.
Exactly.
It's like the faith behind it. Like you're doing it, like it may not, like the bigger the faith, I think the more you get. It's like the intention behind it's like so important, because you can give to like get attention. Like people are like, oh, let me snap this video of me giving a homeless man money. It was may not be, I don't know the intention behind it, but I think that intention is huge.
Yeah.
In everything.
Yeah.
Being mindful and speaking mindful words, setting your intentions on what you do, because it's true. Like I've seen people post things like, I did this, I helped this person, and it's like, okay, well, where are you going with your intention with that? Like, are you just doing it to show people what kind of person you are, or are you doing it to inspire people? Are you doing it to motivate people? You don't know that intention, but you just hope that it comes from a good place.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so
so you're here now. What is it that you actually do? Because I don't think I really understand still. Like, what do you do today, like, to make your income? And then also, just as like a side note, what do your parents think of you? Like, what do your parents think of you now? Like, where you're at?
Good question. So it's kind of cliche. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm an entrepreneur," but I'm an entrepreneur. And basically, I mean, the definition of entrepreneur is someone that risks a lot financially to basically live like a life of freedom. That's how I would describe it. But I do a few different things. I'm top earner in like I'm top 1% in my company in Magic. We basically sell medical grade machines. They basically produce 8 different waters that do a lot of different things. If anyone wants more information, we can give you more information on that. But then I also help people with funding, business funding, credit. I can get them set up with someone that can help them out with their credit, whatever. Because you need both cash flow and credit. Cash flow and credit. So credit's super super important. I also help people with automation, setting up different assets that produce them cash flow every single month. And recently, what I started to do is I went through a transformational leadership workshop about a few months ago, back in April. It's a 3-part program. I took part 1 in April, part 2 in May, and I was supposed to be in Costa Rica in June. But my flight got delayed due to like freaking Dallas had like a freaking tornado and a hailstorm at the same time. I'm like, okay.
Wow, nature, how dare it?
Not the universe was looking out for me.
Yeah.
It really was. And it's crazy because like I ended up, instead of going to I was pissed for the last few, because I had booked my hotels, I had booked my flight, I had booked all of these things I was gonna do, and I mean I got a refund later, but I was like, yo, I just literally put all this time and energy into planning my Costa Rica trip, and now like I'm not going because like they like my flight got canceled and rebooked, and it was like the day after the part 3 of that workshop was supposed to start. And literally I would have gotten there 1 hour before the whole like workshop ended. So I was like, okay, well, I'm obviously not supposed to be there. So I ended up doing a mastermind event in Dallas, and it's crazy because I met so many amazing people that day, and we had our first workshop 2 weeks ago in Dallas, Texas, that I hosted for my leaders in my business, in my organization, and I had 15 of my leaders come, and some of those people I met at that mastermind that I attended, which I would have never met if I had went to Costa Rica. Yeah. And when I saw all 15 of those people in that room this past weekend, it was absolutely mind blowing because I literally saw people I loved and cared about transform in front of my eyes. It's funny because like I actually like cried in front of them. Aww. I cried in front of them, and like it's crazy. This is coming from someone like, I went through like a lot of growing up. I'll touch on it a little bit, but I went through like a lot of abuse, a lot of physical, mental, emotional abuse. Actually, almost died like twice by my own dad. Wow. He wasn't a drunk. He wasn't an alcoholic. He wasn't like a drug addict. So like I took the workshop and like I had like, as a man, I feel like nowadays in society, they put labels, even men and women, but both, like they put you in a box. You got to be this way. You got to act this way. You got to, men don't cry. Women, are this way. And I didn't cry for 20 plus years. Yeah. And at this workshop, like, it's crazy. Like, it's just opened me up like so much. And like whenever this like I saw 15 of some of my closest friends go through this workshop, it was absolutely one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever had. Because, I mean, just for example, like there's one person really close to me. He told me that if I didn't invite him to that workshop, he probably would have not been here the next week. Like he probably would have committed suicide.
Yeah. And that's powerful words within itself to know that you played a part in that. That's crazy.
Yeah, no, that was I was literally like high on life for like 5 days after that workshop because I was just like, wow, like I literally just changed like 15 people's lives, like for the best, for the better. So it was so fulfilling, so purposeful. So I'm starting to work with this organization. And I'm implementing it in my business because what I realized in the last couple of years, it's not about building a business. You can build a business. Like I know how to sell. I know how to market. I know how to do all these things myself. But it's about creating true leaders. It's about creating leaders that can, you build your leaders and they build the business. So that's what I'm starting to implement, really transformational leadership inside my organization so that we can take this company to a multi-billion-dollar company. So that's what I do in a nutshell. And as far as my parents, they still, like, I make more money than my parents now. It's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, they still want me to, like, my dad still tells me, he's like, oh, when are you gonna go back to school? But like
Really?
I pay his bills. Like, I pay my parents' bills. Like, it's pretty expensive. Like, my parents are not cheap. I mean, I'm sure that's what they've been telling telling themselves their whole life about me. So
Yeah.
so that's the least I could do. But yeah, like,
Yeah.
they definitely, but they're opening up a little bit more because my dad got laid off probably 10 to 12 times in the last, like,
Wow.
20 years. Yeah, last 20 years. And I guess that was, that's why his aggression was high. So he's starting to realize that a job's not really the most secure way of creating income/lifestyle. And he's 51. And, it's just crazy because, like, nowadays corporations, you hit 60, then who's going to want to hire you at 60? You lose your job, like, they're not going to want to hire you at 60 years old. So he's starting to open up. I actually got him an automated store for Amazon, and he's bringing in, like, a passive income of, like, $1,200 a month, which is cool because he doesn't have to work for his money.
Yeah.
He can invest the money that he's creating in his job to create an asset on the side. So he's definitely opening up a little bit more, but he's still like, oh, when are you gonna go back to school and get a job? I'm like, Dad, I'm 26 years old, and yeah, like, I mean, which 26-year-old do you know that just goes and can just, like, just travel whenever he wants and, like, is taking care of his parents and
Yeah.
so I mean, they're opening up more.
Good.
It's just that air mindset, to be honest.
Yeah. It's the culture. It's the culture of being an immigrant and knowing, like, what you've been through. And at the same time, we're talking about empathy and, like, putting yourself in other people's shoes. My parents are immigrants also. So I get, although the delivery is not always the greatest, I get where they're coming from because they just want the best for you. And it's been ingrained in them that education is the best. And it is. But it's, we can find it in different ways. It doesn't always have to be in, like a constructive way of sitting in a classroom and getting a piece of paper that's going to cost you thousands and thousands of dollars and hours and your time and energy and tears and all this other shit because I've been through it, and although it was worth it in the moment, or like in perspective, it was worth it. In the moment, it was terrible. For me, at least, my experience. I don't know about you guys. Well, Jenna, I don't know.
I struggled a lot going through school, and I think it's, like, our parents' generation, too, because I tried to drop out, like, multiple times, at least, like, twice a year, every year of college in the 5 years I was there, but my dad was paying for college for me, and so I felt like I had to do it. Like, if I was paying for it myself, I definitely wouldn't have done it because it was so hard for me to like, listen to someone that I just didn't really feel like I was learning anything. I mean, the best things I learned in college was when I traveled, like, when I did the study abroads, and that's how I met Lily, and that's, like, my friends to this day are from traveling. And I've learned so much more from doing that, like, volunteer work and humanitarian work and all of that. But sitting in a classroom and listening to someone talk is, like, probably one of the hardest things in this world. But, yeah, I'm thankful for my experience, though, in college, because I know that it's, like, brought me to where I am today, and it at least helped get me on a path of figuring out more what I wanted to do, because I feel like I was really lost, like, when I first started college. And so it definitely helped me just get on track more and figure out what I wanted to do. Because I think if I would have not gone to college, I wouldn't be in the best place today, and I definitely wouldn't be the person I am today. So definitely thankful.
Yeah, I think everything plays a part in your journey. Like, I mean, it all has a purpose. And it's funny that you say my dad was actually paying for my college too, and that's kind of why I dropped out too. I'm like, dude, I'm wasting his money. Like, I literally don't even show up to
Yeah.
class,
Yeah.
or I'll show up high or something, and like be asleep. I'm like, okay,
That
well,
was me.
like I should probably just stop, because like he's putting his hard-earned money into this, and I think, like you were saying, education. Yeah, I think like education never stops. Like if you know me, I read so much, and I do a lot of personal development, audiobooks and stuff like that, conferences and workshops, and I mean, even this past year, I spent over, I don't know, like $10,000 on just workshops. So
Investing in yourself, though.
yeah, so I mean, like education doesn't have to stop. Like, I think that's also something like, we were like kind of programmed that you have to go to like the school or whatever. You have to go to school to learn, and then people, like, once they get out, they stop learning, and I think that's whenever learning really starts.
Yeah.
Like, that's when learning should like really start. Like I feel like the things that I've learned after college, I apply in my life every single day, whether it's metaphysics, quantum physics, emotional intelligence, communication skills, leadership skills. I can go on. Those things play such a big role, not only in my business, but my relationships, my friendships, how to like have actual like good, healthy friendships with boundaries and stuff. I think that's like really, really, really important. And I think that education is important, but I do believe that the education system needs a revamping, and it needs to be restructured in a way to encourage people to follow like who they are and their unique abilities. Like, we all have like unique abilities, and I believe that, I don't know if you guys can agree, but I feel like, or not feel, I know that we are all part of the same source, and we're like basically God personified. Like, we're God expressing itself all in our individual personalities, and we all have like unique abilities. And I was like touching on this earlier, we all have a purpose. It's like finding that purpose, and I feel like the school system doesn't really help you develop those things. It's more so like, hey, how can you memorize this information and then regurgitate it on, or like take a test?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I think there's certain places in time which is good, but yeah, I think like the whole system just needs like a whole, like, it just needs to be restructured in a better way.
Yeah.
That's more effective for like people to find their unique ability.
An individualistic, but also as a collective, because
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a preschool teacher now, and our numbers are super low when it comes to, like, it's a 4-to-1 ratio. So we get 4 kids to 1 person. And and it's a private school. So if you go out into like a school district and you see a classroom, there's one teacher in like 30 plus kids. Like, how are you paying that individual attention to each kid and catering to each kid when everyone learns differently, everyone has different talents, and everyone has different ways of learning? You can't. Like, there's really no way. And I'm not shitting on anybody that's a teacher out there that's in a public district, but it's like you said, it needs to be restructured, and everyone can learn in their own way. And I think it does start. I think you do start learning, and you should be exploring more of what you want to learn once you get out of college, or if you don't go to college, because you get to choose. You get to create what you want to learn, and you get to create your reality. And I'm a big advocate in creating your own reality. But those are all really good points that you brought up. I think that's super important. And we're not saying that going to school is bad. You guys can choose your own path, but this is just like our experiences. Jenna and I both went to school. You didn't go to school, and that's okay. I know so many people that are so successful, which I hate using that word. I'm trying to think of a different, like, they're just, their life is full of abundance, and they didn't go to school, and they just made it work out. They've made it happen.
Yeah.
But something that we ask all of our guests on our show is just one question. I don't know, Jen, if you want to go ahead and ask Sam our question.
Oh, yeah. So this is our last question that we ask everyone, and it's, if you could give any advice to your younger self, what would it be?
That's a good question. My younger self, yeah, I mean, I think first thing, I feel like I have 2 things I would say, but first one would be accountable. I would always blame everyone for everything else. Like, it's funny because my last name literally means excuses.
Wow.
Wow.
So what's your last name?
In Arabic, the way that you pronounce it, because like there's certain like letters that you don't pronounce in the English alphabet that we do use in the Arabic alphabet. The way that I pronounce it, like the proper way, is hijjah, but people in English it's like hijjah. But yeah, it means excuses. My dad is like he makes the most excuses. Oh my god, I'm like, Dad, what? Like you're. He's like, oh, I'm so old. I'm 51 years old. I can't get up off the couch.
What?
I'm like, you're not old.
Oh my god.
You're not old. We don't even have to age. We don't have to choose to age, and that's another topic. But my biggest thing would be to just be accountable for like your like whatever you do. Like you can't make like you can't blame, like I would blame the school, my parents, the government, weather, all these different things.
Weather.
Seriously.
You see that leaf outside? That's its fault.
It's its fault. That's not my fault. So yeah, I think it's really just taking accountability, like, and follow your, like, that's what we were talking about, following your passions. And I feel like with my kids, I'm definitely gonna just whatever they want to do, I definitely want to support them in whatever they feel like they're naturally talented in, that like whatever like they really enjoy, because I mean it starts with the younger generation. I feel like the earlier you start them the better, because like our world definitely needs like new innovative minds and new people to like change up the way that things are. So that's the two things: take accountability and then follow my passion.
I love that. I think that's super important, and I think that's great advice to follow now. I think that those are just wise words that we should all be following, and just catering to our heart and following our heart, following our intuition.
Yeah, I definitely can agree with that too. I mean, that's something I would give my younger self, and I've learned even more recently, is just to not blame my surroundings. I just always tell myself it's my fault. Like everything in my current reality is what I chose to be. Like everything you can create anything you want. So
yeah, and I don't even think it's like your fault. I think it's just you should take or you get to take responsibility.
yeah.
Like you can either be a victim of your circumstances, or you could be the source of it all. So yeah, that's it.
Oh my gosh. That's it, guys. Well, thank you so much, Sam, for being here. I really, really, truly appreciate you and your time and your story, and just so much love to you, because I just can't even imagine like what you went through, and I'm just so excited to see what you're going to go through in life, and what you get to create, what you get to go through. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we really appreciate you, Sam, flying out here just for this podcast. Thanks for flying in for the day. Just, that's the life of Sam's life right now. He can just choose to fly out just for a few hours.
Oh my God. Well, if you guys have any suggestions or any feedback, feel free to reach out. Thank you so much. Love and light to all of you, and thank you for listening.
Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.